Hello. Have you ever heard of the Boston Revere Beach and Lynn Railroad? If not, neither had 80% of the people I polled in the towns it once served, despite the fact that the narrow gauge, as it was called, was instrumental in the development of Boston's North Shore. My name's Todd Gigg. I'm a photographer living with my family in the coastal city of Lynn, Massachusetts, one of the oldest in the U.S. I need your help to complete a project I began several years ago to create a historically accurate diorama of the Boston Revere Beach and Lynn as it was in 1895. This diorama, when complete, will be donated to the Lynn Museum, where it will be on display. The diorama's design is as 10 4x4-foot modules. This will allow it to be built here in my studio and transferred to the Lynn Museum. The process of building the first 3 modules has been time-consuming due to the extensive research necessary to ensure historical accuracy. This includes numerous visits to local historical societies and libraries, studying the many books written about the railroad, collecting photographs and artifacts, as well as interviewing people who actually rode the narrow gauge as children. In addition to these has been the demanding task of learning the art of fine-scale modeling. I now estimate that to complete the diorama, I will need several more years. That may sound like a long time, but not when you're recreating an entire railroad in miniature, as well as the communities through which it passed. If I appear obsessive, there's a reason for that. I think one needs to be obsessed when undertaking a project of this complexity. Frequently people will say to me, "I'd never have the patience." But patience isn't required when you're doing something that you love. And watching the diorama come to life has been a very special experience for me. At the risk of sounding like a physics professor, what I need isn't patience, but space and time. My Kickstarter goal is to raise $75,000, which will cover the cost of renting this studio. In addition, there's the creation of a 40-foot backdrop, a critical part of any diorama, made from historic photographs, digitally knit together and colored, an expensive process when done well. Brass models of the Mason bogies, the type of engines used on the narrow gauge, when expertly painted, cost nearly $1,000 each. Add to that the expensive lighting, as well as basic materials and paints, not to mention all the figures in period dress. If you've ever seen a postcard of Revere Beach on a summer day, you realize these figures number in the hundreds. I'd like to conclude by explaining the reasons for the creation of the diorama. The first is to celebrate one of our country's great narrow gauge railroads, one that's never been modeled, and to keep its historical significance from being forgotten. The second is to give to the Lynn Museum and the City of Lynn something that otherwise would be unavailable and unaffordable, a memory of their past. My hope is that the universal appeal of the diorama will increase membership at the museum and develop greater interest in the remarkable histories of Boston, Lynn, and the entire North Shore. Which brings me to my third reason, education. Although not my original intention, the research for this project has greatly increased my knowledge of the area. I believe a sense of one's community is enhanced by an awareness of its history, and nothing brings history to life like a diorama. Lastly, my desire is to have the craftsmanship evident in the diorama inspire kids to put down their phones and rediscover the pleasures of working with their hands. I hope my teenage son is listening. I've got a lot of track left to lay, so I better get back to work. I hope I've made clear to you my commitment to the project and why I feel it's worthy of your support. If you'd like more information, there's a statement below, or come to the project's website. And if you're in town, stop in and say hello. Make some trees with me. You wouldn't believe how many there were back in 1895. My sincerest thanks.